Is my microphone on now? Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I switched it off for some reason. Then let me say it again. Game is loading in anyway. Hey, this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream. Good evening, AJ. Good evening, Donut Diplomat. So nice to see you on the chat for our unboxing stream for the Manchester Airport Commuter DLC that was released today. And as it seems, it will not be the only unboxing stream this week because the locomotive for the Boston Providence route is supposed to be released on Thursday, so we will see if we will have a second stream then for this. Today we will be looking at the Manchester Commuter, the Manchester Airport Commuter DLC, released today, the first and premiere for Alan Thomson Simulation. And well, we will see. We will see. It's been a bit bumpy pre-release the previous days, and allegedly there was an update on Steam and the consoles. I have not seen one on the Epic Game Store, so keep in mind what you see here with me is the version that we have at the moment on the Epic Game Store, not Steam, not the consoles. And yeah, this is what we have. Choose a route and journeys they are as well. Manchester Airport Commuter, explore Manchester, 3 chapters for the journey, or if you like to jump into the route, then you have one route introduction in the training modules. You have 5 scenarios, 4 of them shortish, so rather something to play if you do not have 2 hours to spend. One for 1 hour, more like this one I already played, enjoyed it quite a lot actually. And then in the timetable you have 2 timetables, a Sunday timetable and a weekday timetable, especially you don't have freight services on Sunday. 8:15 is too much. What is that figure, 8:15 actually? At any rate, what I was saying, in the weekday timetable, we are enjoying some freight runs. We have layering in the railhead treatment train with 4 services. Then we get a new version of the Class 66 specifically for the Manchester Airport Commuter with the DB Schenker red livery and a couple of services. What is layering in are the 2 trains from the East Coast Main Line, London Milton Keyes. They came out with Trains in World 5, the Zero and the 380. The 815 is the number of services, and the Pendolino. From the Midlands, layering in the 158, so you can subtract. We have those services we have from this DLC. We have the 275 from the 323, and then the layering services with the Express Sprinter from the Midlands. Those 2 services, 126 and 54 for the trains from the East Coast Main Line, Milton Keynes. And then 4 Railtour services that come in from the Preston Carlisle. What is also layering in, but you can't see here in my setup, is the ScotRail Express Sprinter 158 and the 2 Sprinters, the 150 and the 153 from the Cardiff commuter line. I've ordered those, but I have not gotten the keys yet. So those 2 will layer in as well. You don't get new rolling stock with the DLC. That is definitely a thing that you have to keep in mind. You get a route with 2 branches. That is not so super long. It looks very nice scenery-wise from what I've seen so far. The services seem actually to be quite different. So a lot of variation with the use of the different junctions, the route of the yards and so on. No long driving services, so rather quick ones, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. If you do not have a lot of time, then this is maybe the one for you. What I wanted to do actually is not to drive any service, but to jump into the timetable. Not with one specific train, but on foot. Let's take the weekday and then on foot, and then let's try to find our way through the DLC on our own. Let's just stay there, light clouds spawn at Manchester Piccadilly, and see what we get. Apparently, or allegedly, you can go into the basement and use the Metrolink connections, the taxi connections. And we will see how the DLC behaves. I'm not gonna lie, there were some issues with the lighting with the lights on the trains and raining inside of the train, and hopefully the elevators work if there are any. Some of them do from what I've seen, not all of them. So this is Piccadilly, second most busy station outside of London, they say in the introduction. Can we go out there? Welcome to Manchester Piccadilly, as it seems we can. And we can go to the Metrolink area. Here are the taxi connectors, as it seems. So that is already something that deserves appraisal, that we can walk around at the station. And those are the light rail Metrolink connections, right? If I am not totally mistaken. I don't know if there are any actually appearing sometimes, but it looks nice. And now let's see if the elevators are working. Nay, it's a Tuesday. Did I not put anything weird in the stream title this time? I actually would have complained, I'm quite sure. And thank you for the subscription. So those lifts don't work, as it seems, but I have seen functioning. Here we have actually conveyor stairs. Some of them going up, some of them going down. And now let's find a nice platform. Platform A is not where we wanna go. Trams to Royalston. Is that a lift that works? There is a no entry. Let's just be a rebel. No, there's actually no entry. If they say so, there is no entry. You know, even if we duck, then we can do it. And now we are on the opposite side of those connectors. Is it an exit? Only if you mind your head. The title is Find the AJ. Alright. It is a Tuesday and I am streaming because it is release day for this DLC. Oh, I have to find my way back to the trains, to the actual trains. Yeah, maybe here. Oops. Let's take this connection here. And then we are back where we want to be. How do we get to platform 13 and 14? I don't know. I just take platform 11 now. It makes sense. I just never see you stream outside of Monday or Sunday, yeah. Well, now that I'm getting those DLCs on release day, I do those unboxing streams to just look around. Except that one time we accidentally turned it on. Yeah. I think that is the one that belongs to this DLC. Let's take a loaded one with a single configuration, otherwise we won't fit it here. And that's it. Let's set up our train and turn on the taillights first before we do anything else. Yeah, I know most people do the release and first look streams and stuff before the actual release, because as soon as a DLC is released, it is already getting old and forgotten. But nevertheless, I prefer doing it on release day when everybody else can actually grab it and buy it if they want. Because I remember vividly, before I was an ambassador, how it annoyed me that people got to play the new stuff before I was even able to buy it. The GSMR is actually working. Our light configuration can be done. Taillights is off. Doors will be operated here by hand. Coach lighting is on. Aux is on anyways. Maybe we need the master key, then we can put it into neutral. The AWS works. The DSD and vigilance device we have unlocked as well. And now what I want to do here, I wanted to see if I can get on those platforms, but probably I have to walk around everything. Can I not set the path at the moment? Probably I took the wrong train, huh? Aha. Sometimes it takes a bit. And here you can see the route. Two sides, and this little appendix here is the airport station. Conform, and we're again going in a straight service to the airport. Close the doors. Proceed, the signals indicate. Forward. Let's have a nice view on the outside. Probably starting in 15 miles. Yes, that's what it is. And our hyper networker, our 323 train. What is a bit... Oh, I have to switch off my markers because I played the route introduction before, and the game still turns on objective markers and stop markers if you play any kind of tutorial, and then it does not switch it off and leaves it up to you to do that. Characteristic sound of this train. Lights seem to be okay. That's not ours. And what I want to do now is actually do one round around the two lines and to the airport on the way, and then back to Piccadilly. So that we've seen it all. in free roam on the weekly timetable. So what I do think is that they did a great job scenery-wise. Where I'm not so super convinced, but you have to judge that for yourself, is with the functionality of the safety systems. Sometimes you get weird penalty break from TPWS overspeed loops. Now we're already getting a signal that we're going through the switch to the right. Position 4. Let's see how fast it is. Going out to the left, it is 30. To the right, so let's slow down to 30. And again, from what I've seen so far, it is a good thing that they actually made use of different paths, of different routings. The route is not long, but it still has quite a bit of track lying about on the floor here. Now, because I did the externals, I missed how fast I can go here. Looks like 65. Some things are a bit weird. If you try to look at this screen, you get a very interesting view. And you see it's only 7.5 miles until we get to the airport. Car wash to the left. So again, I am missing at least 2 layers that come into this DLC. So with those 2 layers, it might actually be a bit more busy still. And we're going across the switch. And for that, it is 45 or something. Let's see if that was enough. Or if 45 was still too fast. For branching out to the Styles line. No, it was okay. And then 75 again. Sometimes tends to be a bit overexposed still, lightning wise. And I deliberately took some light clouds because I didn't want to run it in clear. actually a bit fast. Too much watching the scenery. But before we actually go ahead, I wanted to show you where we are on the map. And I prepared, just like for the DLCs that we looked at before, a little presentation with a map to just make sure that we can see where on the map that we are running about. Here's the presentation, and this is the map of, more or less the south eastern part of the Greater Manchester area. Here is Manchester, and when did we have Manchester for the last time? In a release. Oops, so this is the way that we have to go. You might remember this little line that branched out at the end to two towns or villages called Glossop and Hatfield, the Glossop line. We talked about this. This is not what we're talking about today, but we had a video at least about this when it comes to train dispatch and station duty. And if you're playing on Steam, then you get a 20% discount if you own the Glossop line for this new DLC for the Manchester Airport Commuter, because it shares the 323 train and a little bit of the track that we actually have here. So obviously Manchester Piccadilly Station, and then a short line here into this yard. But the main part, actually, the line through Stockport, not the one that we are running at the moment. We are going to the airport straight, but that we will be going back. That is, well, the main stock of this new DLC, where we're going through Stockport and then in the Crewe direction, and it stops at Alderley Edge. It was discussed to make it all the way to Crewe. Well, obviously this won't be done. So unfortunately this DLC ends here, but well, to make up for this, maybe we have the second line that branches out here and goes through Styal and then comes back here just north of Wilmslow to join the line to Alderley Edge. So what we will be doing here, we will starting at Manchester Piccadilly. We are already branched out here, going along this branch line, and then we will go this little bit to the airport, turn around, and then we will go to the southern point in this DLC, Alderley Edge, and then we will probably take a different train, maybe the 66, back to Manchester Piccadilly, and then we have more or less written on all the main parts of this DLC. So if Glossop line is more or less way out east from Manchester Piccadilly, this is more or less way out south of Manchester Piccadilly and to the airport, which is actually the third busiest airport in the United Kingdom from what you can read passenger wise. Plane wise it is still behind London Stansted, but the first two is obviously Heathrow and Gatwick, and it's already Manchester when it comes to passengers. When it comes to planes, it is still Stansted is before Manchester. I think it is a important airport at any rate, as you can see, and so is the connection to the city. Yeah, what else do we know in this area? Because my beloved Northern Transpennine line also starts at Manchester, but at a different station, not at Manchester Piccadilly, but at Manchester Victoria, and it is obviously set in a different period. But the line is still there, not all the stations though, but the line is there, starting out there and then going through Ashton on the line and Staley Bridge. And Spectre's unfortunately not here, but last time we played the Northern Transpennine at this point here at Staley Bridge, I said, well, I want to know where this line actually goes. Well, we go straight ahead out of Staley Bridge and then we would connect to the Glossop line, what I know now and what we can see easily here on the map. So this is what we have in the game concerning the Manchester area so far. and the parts is what you get with the new DLC. Just so that we know where we are running about. And now we are running on, and in 5 miles we will be at the airport. Soonish we will have to branch out accordingly. There are some stations on the way. From what I've seen, those stations are beautifully modeled with a lot of details. There are neutral sections in the track that are actually working, are simulated, where the line bolt drops for a bit, at least that's what they say. And soon enough, we will get the junction signal. Busy motorways. That looks really good, in my opinion. Scenery-wise, no complaints at all. Now we're getting a signal. A yellow one. I don't know if this is for the junction approach control. Probably not. Probably we're running up on something. So let's see if actually a different train has precedence in going in or out of the airport area. You can see the planes, licensed planes. So where is the next signal that is supposed to be read? Can't be so far now. But I still cannot spot any magnet. More planes. Finally a magnet. But the signal has cleared. Neutral section is announced. A plane donor diplomat says, didn't know they actually are in the DLC. How would they are? There are a lot of them, actually. And we will walk about at the airport a bit. And you can see the planes at least standing on the floor. You cannot see them actually landing, I think. There will be a 40 for the branch to the airport. This is what we got the AWS for, if I'm not mistaken. I like those PIS screens. Here's the junction signal. This is what probably the 40 is for. Here it actually is. Here's the dead section, by the way. I did not feel it, the dead section, but this might have been because we are not running under load. Yellow signal. That means we probably cannot enter right away. We'll have to wait for another train to leave the airport station. Here's a plane coming in. So typically you can accelerate for a short bit to 50 at this point, but since we're running under caution, I just let it coast. You can see it to the left in the background, the airport, and the runways. Maybe have to look at this at night properly to see all the lights. Maybe we do that when this run around is done, that we look at the airport at night. And here we have to stop. Hard to believe, but we actually have to stop. Well, hey, that is the thing with wedging in a train by means of free roam. Can we come in? No, you can't come in. Okay, then we wait. Let's see what is happening there that we cannot come in. It's the parking lot for the airport. There should be motorway out there. Train has an in. It's coming in to land at the airport. Droning. Yeah, there's actually a train sitting where we want to go in. When is this train supposed to leave? In 7 minutes. Maybe we can have a different track then. If this train has to. Let's remove our path and go to the other track, the other platform. And now we can go in. Isn't that nice? I think it's 25 in the airport area. It's first 40. If we're not going across this. And here it crashed. Okay. That was a crash to desktop. So I have to restart the game, and then we will load in. At the airport. And proceed from there. Yeah, well, that happens if things like this are done live. As I said in the beginning, I did not see getting an update on Epic Games Store today. So this might be still the version before, the patched version that was released on Steam and on the consoles. But I can't tell you exactly. There was talk about patches for the Steam version. For some reason it always crashes when I'm arriving in the end station on a 1.5 hour service. Yeah, that sometimes happens. And it is bad luck, but I've experienced the same, yeah. But this sometimes has to do with the higher load that you experience at stations. More traffic, more stuff to do. And this increases the risk of a crash, I'm quite sure. Obviously something else can go wrong as well, but with a higher load. That's why I save the game like every 20 minutes. Yeah, can't hurt. Can't hurt. And especially like 10-15 minutes before finishing the service. Yeah, to be fair, I was driving around in the timetable with a wedged-in train with free roam. We changed the path. We confused the dispatcher. So it's not good that they crashed the desktop, but you have to accept it. Timetable, a weekday, on foot, no longer in Manchester Piccadilly, but at the airport, and nah, not that much later. And this is one thing that the game is really weird about. If you go into selecting after 10 seconds, it kicks you out no matter what you do. On foot, airport was about 10:20 that we were supposed to arrive there. Let's have the light clouds and jump into it. So here we are at the airport. This is not our train, this is the train that was blocking our progress most probably. Yes, the 11029 to Blackpool North. Remember Blackpool North we have in the Blackpool branches. So those screens look nice. I like those screens with the white writing. Some guys are actually reading something. Looks a bit like he's reading it upside down, no? From the paragraphs and how they are arranged. He might be reading his book upside down. Maybe this is why he does not understand too much. This guy is hacking the Dovetail Games website. And what is he doing? Why is the book no clipping through the table? Yeah, well, some clipping issues you have to live with, I think. That is just okay. Let's walk about at the airport a bit. Here, the ramp. And yeah, so scenery-wise, I think this DLC is really great. They went to great lengths to model the surroundings, not only of the trains, but where you can walk. It's a nice touch that you can see the outside area through the glass. Probably can't walk outside, can you? No, you cannot. In here, what is it called? The Skywalk. He's watching a tutorial on German safety systems. Yeah. Maybe he's the only one doing that. Now we found him. And this is the Skywalk, where you can go to the terminal, I guess. But you can go only so far. Because it is a train simulator, not a plane simulator. But still, this looks nice. This we have to look at night. This is one of the collector thingies. The route tasks. A bumblebee that you have to find over this. I actually stumbled by mistake. This is why I know that it is there. Okay. Why are the collectibles even in a game about trains? They are there to encourage people to investigate and explore the scenery. This is quite obvious that this is why they are there. I don't know a single person who does that. Oh, I know a lot of people. I just have to look. Here, for example, is a lift that works. You only have to look into the forums and people complaining that certain collectibles cannot be collected because they are not reachable or something like this. And, well, I don't mind that they are in the game. Sometimes I think that they look better before they are collected. So I would rather not collect them. And then you stumble over them and, well then... you can't do about it. So, our train again. This time I will use the shortcut to travel back to turn on the tail lights. Like this. I actually thought it would be a convention for the script that boots the trains, that the tail lights are always on. But not so here, as it seems. Safety systems. Doors, yeah. On the Bernina line, the collectibles fit it so well, I just don't collect most of them. Yeah, that's the thing. Especially sometimes you have to pick them up and then they are gone. In the older DLCs you have that a lot, and you have some cute animals and you fit in. Yeah, I understood it. I just did not know where the sentence was going when I was reading it aloud. So let's have a path to the end of the route. Like here, we're coming in on the left side, probably. Yes, signal at the end has been switched to green. And off we go. Welcome to Manchester Airport. And we're leaving here with 25 miles. So a bit less restrictive. The lights are on as it seems. So if you have a crash at the end of every service, then you don't experience the light bug. So much is for sure. It's probably a 30 switch here. Did not pay attention. But actually it does not come as a surprise that they sent us across the switch here, so that we are on the left side of the track again. Duck, duck. Why we... By the way, why do we have stop markers here? I noticed them the other day, but why are they here? 3-car stop and 4-car stop in the middle of nowhere. Any ideas? Maybe some arcane reason. Maybe for shunting, yeah, but still, you typically don't have... I've never seen stop markers like this for shunting. Neutral section announced. Oh, and crashed again. Again. Crashed again. This probably... So if it crashes again soon after the next check that we did, then I would have to restart the computer and give it a clean boot. Maybe I overloaded the game with this DLC a bit. With free roam and photo mode and everything. I will give you a heads up as soon as I get an update on the Epic Game Store. Maybe I can take a predefined service for a change and not bother the game with the free roam. From the airport southbound. So come on. Okay. Let's try to find a service that goes from the airport to the south. Like this one. This is a bit late. I want one where we can see the route. Cannot be at night. Would be nice to see the airport at night. There was one. Was there not? Ha! It's always going back to the late one. Those are just going from Piccadilly to the airport and vice versa. So here we could have had a predefined service. No, it fell out again. Why such an interesting thing is so empty, only 2 people watching? Well, I don't know. I lost like 3 subscribers on YouTube during the premiere of my latest video. Somehow it is not the time for my streams at the moment. Here. Liverpool Lime Street to Crewe. That should be starting at the airport and take us to Alderley Edge. Let's make it easy a bit for the game. Let's use custom weather, light clouds, some wind, and let's see if we actually go from Manchester Airport to Alderley Edge. Yeah. As a driver. Making easy for the game proceeds to turn on wind. So, here we are. Unlock the doors. Safety systems. GSMR is starting. It does not start on its own, but at any rate it works if you turn it on. Day is already on. Is the light actually on? Yes, it looks as if it is on. Also the tail lights are on. Since it is not raining, I cannot really check if it is raining inside the train. I think we will have to insert this key here if we want to operate the doors from this cab. Or in the simulation, from what I've seen, it also works without doing this from the cab, because we don't really have a guard. But it is possible to drive those services in guard mode. So people, get on the train. We're starting not here, but we're starting here. And 1 hour earlier. Guard mode is so boring, says Stone Diplomat. To be honest, I have never really given it a go. It's sad that you cannot do it in multiplayer. Multiplayer guard and driver would be probably nice, and you can come by for a little chat at the stations at any rate. Oh. No, I almost missed my departure. And we go. I tried it once on the Dutch route, just on it. You're basically AFK for 90% of the time. That's what I thought, yeah. Especially if you are on a route with not that many stops. The vigilance always gives us a beep if we're hitting it. So see, the radar would have to admonish me to be easy on the vigilance. 60 from here. With the warning for the junction. Neutral section announced. Junction signal. It's actually quite a bit until you get to the junction after the signal. Why is the scheduled arrival in 6 minutes? Because... Oh, yeah. You mean why why is there so much time? And we have to arrive at Styal. Cannot take that long to drive a mile. Well, it can take long to drive a mile. Well, we did not depart before our time, did we? Here's the neutral section. At least it is supposed to be there. We would have to use an 87, then you can actually see if it is working or not. I did not see the line waltz light turn off at the neutral section. Or maybe you only see that at night. So there's actually no big point to accelerate a lot if we're that early anyway. When you try slowing this train down in the rain, from what I have experienced, it has a very, very, very restrictive wheel slip protection system from what I have seen. It always releases the brakes, what makes it very hard to slow down your train in snow and on wet rail. Maybe this is not the wheel slip protection after all, but... Okay, stop marker is there. The sweet spot for the game was here, so that is a bit off. At least we have a lot of time to look at Styal. Those posters are actually quite cute. Here's one with a yellow or amber
Ticket checks are in operation at this station.
writing
Please have your tickets available for inspection.
for a change. For safety reasons, they don't want e-scooters. Scan it, drop it. With not the best texture that you can get. Don't get clothes and bags caught. Looks very cozy style. Or Quarry Bank Mill. Cumbria. Yeah, this is where we were with the 87. What is this guy trying to achieve? Can't make up his mind. But he thought, well, there is a seat where I can sit down. But this friggin' invisible wall is keeping me. Do those things look like this in real life? They look a bit like a fridge. Well, a lot of passenger traffic. That also is nicely done. It looks harmonious how they are walking around here. CCTV is on the roll. At least the passengers spawn in places where the player cannot see, unlike some other routes where the passengers spawn right in front of you. Yeah, that's what I said. So the passenger placement and the scenery is really great from what I've seen. The lighting, the exposure is a bit overexposed still. There are some issues with the safety systems, as I said. And with the lighting and the raining, this can sometimes be a bit weird. So actually, if you start a second service in the same session of your game, so without closing the game down and restarting it, that sometimes your lights light up the area, but you cannot see that they are on. And from what I've seen, you can see that it is raining inside the train. So, Wilmslow, less time. Yeah, but look at that. So, the way that this creek looks like, that is so much better than what we had in the past. At any rate, what the banks look like, why this water is so pitch black, I don't know. For the water itself, we have better solutions, but the banks... and this little bridge... appreciate it. Did we get a signal? No, it was only a indicator that we have to slow down. Now we got a double yellow. What do we have to slow down for anyway? 50. In a distance of 0.8 miles, we can accelerate to the 50. Single yellow, it's probably a red light at the end of the platform. It's 50 for the junction. Go. Wilmslow. So are you actually getting on my train? Yes, thank you so much for traveling with us. And don't be a diva. Don't get stuck with kids. Yeah, and look at this. This is not only a entrance to the underpass, but it has those height protection thingies installed to it. It's funny how the cars stop for the camera. Texture for those machines is not good. The Mancunian Express. This is where we got the 87 from Preston Carlisle layering in for a map. It's always okay to ask for help. This Jaden. That's true. Track Explorer. You don't have to face it alone, says Darren. That is also true.
Expected to produce your tickets when asked to do so.
Yeah, we've come a long way when it comes to station scenery and passengers. Not so far when it comes to right-of-way indicators. Those are still not functioning. This is no specific. Oh, we closed the door. Well, even though the signal is still at red. Should not have done this, but this is because we were jumping about, and now we've got a green light anyway. You could look for collectibles while you wait. Yes, I could do this. But I actually prefer using the free camera to explore. Then I don't have to get out of my seat. And I don't disturb any bumblebees. Where's that part? So for a moment thought we were crashing again. Why is the speed out here? Don't know, can't be so low since it is not signaled. Probably have to go across another switch, and we're already on our way to Alderley Edge. So this is the part where we merge with the second line that is in the DLC that is going through Stockport. It's 50. Well, yeah. So now the timetable is getting tighter. Now I have only 1 minute 30 to do the 1.3 miles to Alderley Edge. Double yellow. Since we're a bit late, let's accelerate until we get the single yellow in our visors. And then break it down. Is there still a signal before we get to Alderley Edge, or was that for the signal at the end of the platform? Probably we won't get a signal anymore before we get in there. Overspeed sensor loop here. And then there is already the platform. Yeah, you can see it's only a little through station. No sidings or anything. And actually this line runs through to Crew, what we know from the Spirit of Steam DLC. But that obviously proved to be too much. Maybe there will be an expansion at some time. Here the stop marker actually made sense, probably. And that's the service. Except for stopping a bit off the mark. Especially if you're late. The only right way to stop is to use emergency brake at all the time. No! This is the best way to get you fired, I guess. So what do we do? How do we proceed back? First we... First, we want to leave this train. So, sorry. I know I wasn't supposed to be a diva and everything. Careful at the gates, that's the ticket. You're not leaving, they said, right? But I wanted. Watch your step, they say. Someone bumped me towards the posters, did you see that? So our train is leaving. We probably have to go to the other side if we want to go back to Manchester. Yeah, but walking here with those passengers, there's actually enough room to overtake them on those overpasses with the scenery in the background. So that has the look and feel. Also a nice touch, those stickers on the back of the PIS screens. Those ticket seller windows from the past. Ticket machines. There is a bumblebee here. There's a collectible, right? Did I not see one? Yeah. Okay, the bumblebees we can do because they are like flattened out. Blink! You know, they are blown up again. That I can do. I don't resent doing that. Some ticket, just greener for the northern. What a weird place to end the route. You can't deny it looks a bit like they ran out of steam doing a longer route, no? But, well, it reflects in the price that you're not getting new rolling stock, that the route is not so super long. How many class 66s do we actually have? Cargo line intermodal. Edinburgh Glasgow. Great Western Express. Southeast High Speed. West Coast Main Line Training Center. So the one from this DLC here we cannot spawn actually here. Then I don't use it, then I will use it. Hello? And I will use the hyper network again. Maybe with a 6-car formation. If we can fit it here. Oh no, there's a train coming through, so this is why we can't use it. Can we use the other one? Then we will use the other one for starting our train. Then the signaler has to send us through. Is there actually a signal? Yeah, there is. Good thing. Hello? This is why we couldn't spawn our train on this track, because there was... Is it a Pendolino? A Pendolino running through. So, did you see? We lost something on the top left, or was it just before we spawned our train here? Set path. Let's see if it works this time, or if it crashes again. Could have taken a regular run on this. For this part of the track. You still don't have... Unfortunately, we don't have tail lights, and I can only... Right. Neutral is good enough. Gets quite long, this train, with 2 train sets coupled together. And with the fast travel function I can only go to the second cab of the leading train set. So if I want tail lights, and I definitely do want to have tail lights, I need to run back. So guys, you can actually board my train if you want. But nobody wants, because it is not a train that is scheduled. You can see that this long train cannot stop here. Because the platform is not long enough. And we still have to wait. For this dispatcher to wedge us in between. Let's see if that actually works or if we have to run forever on the left track. No. It is here already possible. But it is sending us the wrong way around. Well, then we have to interfere at this point and ask for an intermediate waypoint because we want to go the other route at go via point. And let's go via Stockport. Did this fix it? Yes, it looks better now, but we still have to wait. Where is the traffic? How far did we have to go? We are switching over here. Oh, we're not deadlocking with the other train there. It's getting a stop signal. That doesn't look so super great because if this train cannot go anywhere, then we cannot go past this train. It will probably stop here and be then obstructed. So we'll probably have to kick out that train if we want to go there. Yeah, this is a deadlock situation. And here's our signal. Did we close the doors, by the way? Now we could do that. Yeah, I could have just waited for the Pendolino to pass and then used the proper track. Well, this works as well. How fast are we here? 16 and 50 for the switch. Here's the 6 design, confirming. Single yellow. Maybe the junction signal is not letting what's pass. both signals are red, so no train overtaking on the left side. And now it's green. Maybe it was actually approach control, but that is a bit of a weird approach control by slowing us down to 20 if we have to. If we can go with 40 across. The theater indicator. Or is it getting slower still? Now it's even 50 for the switch. Now it should be easier, because now we are on a proper track again. Here's the junction where we can get to the airport to the left. And the Styal branch. Now we're not stopping anymore. Now we should be able to go faster, I guess. Yeah. Actually 100. That is faster than this train can go. Train is limited to 90. Not stopping until a red signal comes up, and is bad. Well, I probably will stop in front of a red signal, even though I said I'm not stopping. So I'm not sure why I lost this thing in the top left, whether I switched it off or whether this is a thing again. I remember this happening sometimes on the Glossop line, on regular services even, not only on my pirated free roam services. Slow down to 40. Is announced. Why is that? Because we are closing in on Stockport. That will not only be a limit of 40, but a limit of 15 or 20. And we're going into this A line to the left. Stockport is a rather big station. Junction signal sending us to the left. It's 30 to the left at this point, but this is not where we're going. We're going here, where there is no speed signal for the switch. Probably should have gotten the switch before. Now we're rolling through Stockport. Send to S, whatever that might be. 15 at any rate it is. This slow passage allows for a nice view around. S routing again. And as soon as the train is on the bridge, we have a long train, don't forget. We can accelerate again. And this viaduct here is actually really, really beautiful. If you can see the lamps on here. In this overexposed lighting, it is actually a waste almost. I've seen this in a much better state, to be honest. I would definitely lag on this bridge, says Donut Diplomat. Is it still 90 here, or is there... No, it's 90. No, 75 it is. 75. So what I'm not sure is whether the train in this DLC has gotten the improved suspension that we know from the training center 323, or whether for some reason it has the old suspension that we know from the Birmingham Cross City line. I wonder where the playable 390 services end. Surely it cannot be that small station. No, they end. Most of them end at Stockport. The 350 services run between the airport and Piccadilly, and most of the 390 Pendolino services go between Piccadilly and Stockport, where we just passed. Except for the 390s, you more or less lose the second part of the route. Isn't it like 15 minutes only? Yep, it is. Placed us directly in front of this insulator. Can we still go with 75 here? Yeah, I'm just going to slow down to 60. In a bit. Double yellow. As soon as it opens to the left, kick in the brake to slow down to the 60. Single yellow. In that case, a bit more. The 40 morpers. An express sprinter from the Midlands. Here should be the 60. And here I got a very weird TPWS overspeed sensor. Stop. Let's see if we get it again here. No, that's okay. Maybe it was on a different track. I think it'll clear to yellow as it seems. And now we are lagging big time. What happened now? It's down to a 3.5 FPS. Ooh. And through. Don't know what the game had to do here. By the way, we should stop maybe in front of the signal. Mr. Signal, let us in. Yeah, we'll probably have to go a weird way inside the station because I just randomly picked. Interesting aspect, no? Is that still red or is it yellow? That is yellow, isn't it? Yellow on the signal, red on the pig's ear, and the shunting signal on. Theater indicator on also. But just to make this sure, this is a yellow and this is a red, is it not? Or am I now confused with the colors? No, they are two different colors. Yeah, they are giving us a yellow aspect with a red pig's ear, a supplementary signal or surrogate signal, and UF signal in the theater indicator. Never seen that before. What do we do? Oh, didn't need this to fool. $30, $25, $15. Okay, we're following the yellows. No, we're not. I thought we were going across the switch. We're not going in. The one who's going in is the one to the right. But they tell us to proceed at restricted speed? Well, to be fair, I'm doing this with a free roam service. So, welcome back. You missed a very interesting signal that we got. So why are you the only one watching? I don't know. What happened to AJ? That wasn't us. That was the 87. That is now leaving here with the Railtour service. While we are going inside. Okay. Interesting dispatching. The bots can honk, and the honks can bot us here behind the Pendolino. Couple it together, yeah. Don't know if that is even possible. What couplers do we have? We have a knuckle coupler, and the Pendolino has a Scharfenberg. You can see the coupling horn looking out of it. Cannot do this. Yeah, well, interesting dispatching. Any rate, we are supposed to arrive at a platform where the Pendolino is sitting in. We probably won't get this mess in order for the dispatcher. They have to do that for themselves. So if they show a yellow with a red pig's ear and the 2 white lights, then it's a bit like their own problem. Well, who cares? We may damage it, but at least they will be somewhat connected now. That won't work. That won't work, I'm afraid. That won't work, I'm afraid. Yeah. Okay. So guys, what we do for ending this stream here, I wanted to just look at the airport at night. On foot. Airport at night. With the clear weather. Let's see what happens there. So, this is the thing that takes us downstairs. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So how do I get up there? Dramatic lighting. That's cute. Don't really see the runway lights and everything. But that looks cool. Alright guys. With this view into the Skywalk, or wherever it is called, to go to the airport, that itself is a bit dark for my standards. But the Skywalk definitely looks nice, and there is the station, and the station is lighted in a beautiful way. Those were my first impressions of the Manchester Airport Commuter DLC that was released today. Again, I played it on the Epic Games Store. I'm not entirely sure if we already got the final release version running, because I did not get an update of the files after the release. So yeah, thanks Donut Diplomat for staying with me and everybody else for their ongoing support. If you're ending the stream now, I had a blast. Thank you for everything, and see you till next time. Tiger says Donut Diplomat. Take care. And yeah, maybe even already on Thursday, because there will be another release upcoming, or sometime around that. Take care, guys. Bye bye.